Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
This is Jules from The Razor's Edge with Zakk and Joe from Kurokuma.
Hey-o.
Fresh from their performance today at Damnation Festival. So first of all, guys, amazing set as always. I think the last time I saw you was Desert Fest, and that was on a par, if not better. Considering definitely, if I look stage left today, Jacob seems to have morphed into someone else. So
he has indeed.
What's the sort of story behind that then?
We were playing a gig on Thursday, and like one of my best mates was like, "Jake's changed." Yeah, Jake's having a kid, or his wife's having a kid. She's very heavily pregnant, and he just didn't want to risk it.
He wants to live, so he's gone back home to raise his child for a minute.
The child's not here yet.
Well, you know,
I've been texting him today, but yeah. And so we've known about it for a while, and then we have only been jamming with Bing for the past month or so, or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's been
it's something you've been able to prepare for by the sound of it, because like I was saying to Joe, one of the other guys hadn't seen you before, went, "Oh, Kurokuma were great," and I said, particularly as the guitarist, isn't the guitarist, and he couldn't believe it. You know, he did an amazing job, and as you say, if you've been 4 to 6 weeks of getting him into the groove, shall we say, it explains a lot, really.
He's a great musician.
He is.
He learned all the parts for like 8 songs, basically in like 10 days or something.
Yep.
And so it just made it easy.
Absolutely wicked. And Zakk, it just looks to me now as well, you're fully embedded into the band. You look at home up there now as well. It's been about a year or so, is it now?
It's nice and cosy up there now. It's nice and cosy. Yeah, it's just over a year, pretty much. Like my first big gig with him was in December in Iceland. Yeah, that was December last year, so it's just under a year since my first proper Kurokuma outing. And I'm very cozy up there now.
And you seem to have taken on quite a lot of the vocal duties as well. I think in the past it's mainly been Jacob, isn't it, doing the vocals? So you're sharing the load a little bit more now, as to speak. Yeah.
It's funny because he's got a similarity to George, our previous bassist, in so many ways. And
agree.
You know, strong vocals, which he just slotted right in George's place, and he took a lot of what he did.
So obviously, as well as Chris stage left, you had a couple of guests on stage today. Obviously, Nina I recognise from Leuven, who did an amazing job as always.
Absolutely,
and
spectacular.
The other guy I don't know, so you can tell me a bit about him. But first of all, how did that come about that you were thinking about getting these special guests involved today?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is that Jake isn't here. And so I just thought, I'm going to do what I want this time. And the song that Judah jumped on, Judah's from your neck of the woods.
Really?
Yeah, we've known him for years because I think he came to our first gig at the Dev in London. And, you know, we've just stayed in touch, and he's always liked us, and he's an artist, and he does, you know, rapping, he does his hip-hop thing, and we've got that song that we played today, which we kind of wrote like a beat, like a Cypress Hill type rhythm.
Yeah, it's got that groove to it, hasn't it?
Yeah. And so I think we just thought it's ideal. Why don't we get someone in? And I just asked Judah, and he was all over it. And it also, I wanted someone to like hype the crowd a bit more.
Also, it's such a prestigious event that we kind of wanted to. When you know, you've got your album exclusive shows, you've got your UK exclusive shows. So we wanted to sprinkle a little bit extra just for Damnation to make it a little bit more.
Yeah, we wanted to make it so that people didn't forget that they'd seen us, because, like I was saying to Nini, you can kind of walk around Damnation and it's a lot of the same sound all day, but we wanted to bring something new. That's what we're about. We've always been like that. You know we're about that.
Oh, totally, yeah. I'll say the first time I saw you guys was over a pub in Chatsworth, basically.
Yeah, we still talk about that gig sometimes.
What pub was that?
It was literally like a Wetherspoons type.
It's not a Wetherspoons, but it is like a Wetherspoons. It's called like I can't even remember. It's not a pub I would normally go to. The Railway Tavern or something like that. It's on Railway Street. My mate's band were doing an album launch show, and you were first on. Never heard of them before. And of course, when you get up, and I think the Didgeridoo came out, and I was like, well, this is different.
Did you have a Didgeridoo?
That must have been George on the Didgeridoo.
It was George on the Didgeridoo, yeah.
Big up, George.
Oh man, yeah, love to George. But and I think you guys came down and went back in one day to Sheffield, so fucking...
Around that time, we were just like, any gig we got offered, no matter how silly it was, we just did it. those days are long gone, but it's
But it's putting in the groundwork for where you are now, man. You get yourselves out there, you get known, and
that's it.
you reap the rewards at places like Damnation and Desert Fest and places like that.
Yeah, well, it makes you better as a musician and as a band when you're constantly playing in different situations.
Yeah, it's like the other night, as a warm-up with Bing, obviously it was his first time playing with us, so we didn't want to come straight to Damnation. So we did a warm-up gig in Sheffield, and Joe put on Moloch, who were just absolutely fucking outstanding. So it's like a comedian. You don't want to follow someone's shit for your own benefit. Like, you want to follow someone fucking great.
Yeah, so you want to get the crowd going, don't you, mate?
Yeah, and so you want to have something to live up to as well. Like play after someone who's fucking good. Don't give yourself an easy out.
So he was it rapping his own lyrics over the top? Like, you couldn't quite. It sounded like it was his own stuff. So he just put it together and decided to come out. Yeah.
I mean, our new album is it's a concept album about time, and so I gave him some of the lyrics that we've got to give him a flavour of what we're doing, and then he wrote his own take on that theme. And that's what they were. Yeah, he wrote them all himself.
And how, going back to Nina, how did that collaboration go? I think your music has that sometimes a bit of a Middle Eastern influence to it, maybe, so it fitted in really well, in my opinion, anyway.
This new album is very Middle Eastern heavy. That's been a massive inspiration for us, and I put her band on at our Doomlines event up in Sheffield.
That's Lowen.
Yeah, and
great band.
Yeah, they were a standout for me and for a lot of people that day, and I wasn't really thinking about it so much until she said, "Can we interview you today?" And I was like, well, if you're going to be there anyway, why don't you just jump on stage with us? And I sent her the thing. She did it all at home, sent me through like a bit of a taster, and I was like, tweak that. And we literally tried it for the first time for like 2 minutes in the sound check. So,
well, I think it definitely works. And is that going to be on the album with Nina as well?
He wants it to be on the album.
I'd love it to be on the album.
I'll tell you what, my opinion, my honest opinion, it sounded awesome, I thought.
Thank you.
Well, fitted in really well with the tune.
What we're doing is we're doing a remix album.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to go on that. We're going to give each track, there's 6 tracks, and we're going to give each one to a different friend. And I think I'll probably give that to her or someone she knows, and then we can have a version on the remix album.
Who else would you like to give other tracks to?
Komodo, the producer from Sheffield. If you're out there,
we've got a lot of mates in Sheffield who make electronic music. So we actually wanted to do it with Born of Obsidian, but it just didn't work out. So this time we're like, right, we've got the stems, and we're going to give them to our friends, all different genres, a lot of electronic stuff, and hopefully they're going to like fuck it up and make a different song.
Totally.
Thing from
I always prefer like a cover version if it's totally different.
Yeah.
If someone just comes along and repeats what you've done, what's the fucking point?
we're thinking about covering "Dancing with Tears in My Eyes" by Ultravox.
I think we should. Although Vienna would be better. Come on now. But you mentioned the new album, and obviously you took the brave decision at Desert Fest and just played the whole thing in its entirety that I thought was fucking amazing. So tell us a bit about it, when's it coming out? You've already mentioned a bit about some of the lyrical themes, so you can just expand on them a little bit.
Yeah, I think for me, like I say, it's a very Middle Eastern sound. Like our songs that have that vibe, we've kept them together on this album. And then I think the time concept came from a song called Chronoclasm, which we've been playing for years, honestly, for a very long time, but it didn't fit on Born of Obsidian, so we saved that back, and the lyrics that Jake wrote for that are about time, and it really just stemmed from that. It was like, right, we've already got this song, we know it's going on the album, we know what the lyrics are about, why don't we kind of explore that for the rest of the album, and that's really what happened.
We've also been looking into these Egyptian concepts of time. There's one known as Jet and one known as Neher. And we have a song on an album called Neher, and it's basically the dual ideas that time could be both linear and cyclical. So it's like the idea that I like to liken it to, it's like if time was a street with houses on it, just because you pass the house doesn't mean that house back down the street doesn't exist still. And that's sort of the cyclical nature of like every moment just goes on forever. But the ancient Egyptians also believed in the idea of jet, which was one's own individual linear experience of time. So it's the sort of the idea that it's almost based on your perception, whether you're living in the moment, the past, or the future, depending on what you're perceiving at that time.
So So a bit more, obviously, Ball of Obsidian was a bit more ancient civilizations as well. It seems to be a bit of a theme with you guys. Is that something you're interested in yourselves?
Definitely.
I assume you must be, yeah.
Yeah, I think Born of Obsidian was, the concept for that was ancient Mexican civilizations. I still think, I hope we've always got an element of that ancient sound within what we do. But yeah, I mean, we love all that stuff. It's I don't know, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to look back and see what's come before us and keep that in our sound, because honestly, I don't know, a lot of bands, I don't know, here today, everyone's doing modern stuff, and we don't want to be like that. We want something from the past. It's kind of cliched, but it's very important.
No, but I think it's one of the things that make you guys stand out as well. There's no one else doing what you do, really, in my opinion, out there. So it's working, the crowd's there, people enjoy it, so why don't we keep fucking doing it, basically. So, album, you got a name? You allowed to tell me?
Not yet.
We're having Zoom calls kind of as we speak.
Yeah, we're still very, very torn up about that. Like, yeah, there's so much going on. It's like with an album, with the concept that it has, we don't, we really want to be concrete in what we have. So,
Yeah,
And
don't know.
label-wise, self-release, or?
No, it's not going to be a self-release this time. So we're talking to labels. We just know we need that for the next step for Kurokuma. So
actively pursuing label release for this one.
Well, hopefully you'll have a few after you, as you should do. Question I'm asking a lot of bands today, because obviously a lot of bands here playing albums in its entirety seems to be a Damnation thing.
Yeah.
So I'll put you on the spot first. So Zakk, you think about it. Any band you can see playing an album in its entirety that you maybe haven't seen already, what would that be?
well,
That's a tough
I mean,
one, I know.
it's like, honestly, it's quite special to me that we're on the same lineup as Electric Wizard. So I don't know, it'd probably have to be Dog Throne. It's the one thing that got me into Doom, and to be playing on that lineup with, I mean, it's the only band I would care to be on the lineup
I
with.
must admit.
So
When I saw them announce, I was praying they might do a Dog Throne set, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure Justice up for that anymore, is he?
no. And sometimes it's better to kind of just have these ideas in your head rather than
Absolutely.
get them ruined in real life.
Absolutely. Well,
I
maybe-
would like to see if it was done well.
Maybe they'll just come on stage and do it anyway today.
They're going to do Funeralopolis, surely. So.
Well, if they do Dope for a Man Funeralopolis, I'm a happy bunny.
Is
So.
there any anniversary coming up for that or anything?
When was it? Like 2000?
Yeah.
They don't seem to be a band that go heavy
don't
into
really.
like anniversaries and stuff, do they?
No, they don't give a fuck. So.
You're coming in, Zakk. You've had a minute to think about it now.
I'd have to ask for to do a full set, like Adviatic Songs or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just my interest.
Yeah, no, agree, guys. And I understand we've got Boss doing a bit of a set with Johannes from Cult of Luna later
Yeah,
as well. So
supposedly that's
They've
on the
stepped
cards.
into.
they've stepped into
replace
the
Ahab.
Ahab slots, yeah. So, right, guys, pleasure as always to see you and speak to you, and all the best with the album.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with future episodes by subscribing to our channels. For more information on this podcast, or for all the latest music news, reviews, interviews and more, head over to our website www.therazorsedge.rocks.